defrauded on a federal or you being looked at on a federal level.
Is it still recording?
Yep.
Okay, so he was getting he was defrauding people by millions, right?
That's crazy.
So I come to Dr.
Vogel
tomorrow, the next day, and I was like, I don't know how. I hate breaking bad news to you because I hate it. Yeah. I think it's like the hardest part of my job is breaking bad news. So I'm like, I'm just gonna wait for her to say something. I open the door. She looks like she hasn't been sleeping.
I haven't.
But
Dr. Vogel has not been sleeping.
And keep in mind, she still had back-to-back patients. So she brought it up, and then she did the same kind of, like, whatever she found, I found anyways, too. And then we were kind of discussing how we kind of have two options. The first option is we go to the police. Mm-hmm. The second option is, but keep in mind, we've already paid, I don't know, I'm saying we like it's my money. She already paid $30,000, so.
$30,251.53.
And you know, like you think, oh, we can go to the police and get it back, but sometimes like it can take months. Like sometimes you don't even get it back.
And it's a loan, so it's like interest every day.
Yeah.
So, I was like, that's the first option. The second option is technically sometimes, okay, so if you don't know about contractors or like construction companies, they have like their head management, but then they have like contractors that work under them, but they're kind of like, sometimes they're their own independent,
like a subcontractor,
individual or company or something like that. So I was like, we could see if they're technically doing the work and just like, it sucks that he's like, the CEO is a felon, but like, we might as well just get our work done and just get out of there, you know?
Right.
So, you have to keep cutting this out.
No, I think people are gonna know. I think it's more for a humorous perspective.
So, she had patients, and so I was calling the Loudoun County permit department, right? And so I was kind of like...
the low-down county.
The low-down. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're so good at this, and I'm bad at this. The low-down. County, the building development, yeah. And so I was basically checking up on the permits. And this is where I got really sus because I don't know anything about permits, okay? Mm-hmm. And there was this permit that I had started for, and I do think they went in and changed it and added stuff. But basically that permit to kind of take down walls and replace it with the conference room, it was now in review and they wanted updated architect drawings. But that one was in review and it was fine. The zoning was ready to go. They were just waiting on that building permit. Mm-hmm. But there was one more permit that they made like a week ago. And when I was calling and I was asking for updates, the lady on the phone was like, I don't even know why they did this third permit because the first permit like basically covers that. So I don't understand why there's another permit for this. Yeah. So I'm like, if you guys do this, wouldn't you know this, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's when I got a little bit suspicious. And also like they hadn't updated the guy who was doing the review in like a week or two.
All right, so the guy who's doing the review, his fake name is Josh Emanuel.
Yeah, so Josh Emanuel, like, is waiting on...
He's from the county.
He's from the county.
He asked for things.
He asked for things. He waited. And then we later found out that they passed the deadline, too, right?
Yeah, the deadline was October 25th, and they missed it. He asked for the things on the 9th of October, and he never got them. And I kept asking the company. The company... is conscientious contracting.
Oh my gosh, I just had another realization. The third permit was like October 18th or something. So maybe they were trying to do another permit so they didn't have to go through the review. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
All right, so the architect who I haven't talked to, but I have heard from other parties has not been getting paid. His name is going to be Daniel Marcella. Okay, Daniel Marcella.
Okay. I'm not gonna remember this.
I know. You could just say the architect.
You can say the name. You can shout the name in the back. So after this, like we're really suspicious, but we have back-to-back patients. We have paperwork request forms. Like we have a lot going on. So we kind of were like, just kind of like I don't know.
Yeah.
Then was it the next day or was it 2 days later?
The anonymous call. Yeah. I haven't slept in so long. I don't know what day.
I think it was the next day.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I think it was the next day. So, no, I think it was 2 days later. I don't know. Regardless, it was very soon after. We opened at 9 a.m. and I got a text at like 8:55 and someone was like, hey, is this Dr. Vogel? Like, I need to talk to you. Like, it's important. And so I called him back and I was like, oh, like, I'll take the message for you. Like, she's about to see a patient. And basically, this is the former director of operations whose name is, what is his name?
Oh, wait, let me.
This isn't the construction worker?
No. I mean, technically, he is.
He is.
Yeah, he's involved in construction, but he's like he's overseeing the project.
The picture of him that I have from AI has a hard hat.
Okay,
we're
that
calling
one, I know.
him. We're gonna call. What was his name? We're gonna call.
Too many characters.
I know. Well, I have a cheat sheet here. The anonymous. Well, I figured out the anonymous guy by literally just googling his phone number. And
Sure.
then hold on, just 1 second. Yeah, it wasn't too anonymous. He wouldn't give his name, but the internet did.
Yeah.
His name is gonna be Charles Torres.
So Charles Torres called and he sounded so nervous, like in a rush, and was like whispering and was like, "Hey, are you guys working with this company?" And I was like,
Conscientious contracting.
And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I'm just calling you to like not do business with them because like I just feel like what they're doing to you is so wrong. And I know, for example, you guys are ordering like flooring and materials and just know your money is not going towards that." He was like, "I think this guy is like a fraud." And he was like, "None of the, like we haven't been getting paid." And he was like, "I don't care about leaving because I have other jobs, but no one's getting paid, not even employees. Like client work isn't getting done." What else did he say? And I don't know.
I wasn't a part
I
of
don't
this
know.
phone call, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. He asked something, and I was like, "Yeah, like we already put like 30,000 towards this though." And he was like, "You need to go to the police." Like he was like, "I don't have enough." He was, and I was like, "Yeah." Oh no, hold on, backtrack. Sorry, you're gonna have to cut this up, but
No, I like it. It's raw. It's real. It's intense.
basically, he was like, "Oh, they don't have a Virginia contractor's license." And that is something that, remember we were looking,
Yeah.
so they had a Maryland one, like, that was good, but the Virginia was the one that they were doing the fictitious name under. So he was like, "They don't have one for Virginia." And I was like, "Yeah, but they said that they were doing business as blah, blah, blah." And he was like, "No." He was like, "I don't have proof, and this is what I'm trying to get into, but what I think they do is that they open a bunch of different companies and then, like, transfer money between accounts and then close those businesses down." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, like what's your name? Like, how do I?" And he was like, "Just know I'm the former director of operations, so I know what I'm talking about, but I can't tell you my name." Literally Google's his name and found out where he lives and everything. And I was
But
like,
we're gonna keep him and all the other victims anonymous.
yeah. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, we have like a whole whistleblower. Like, what is?"
A whistleblower.
And I was like, "How do I tell Dr. Bible? Like, she has a patient in 15 minutes." And I was like, "Do I wait till the day ends or do I tell her now?" I'm like, "No, I have to tell her now." So then I called Dr. Vogel and I'm like, "Hey, we got a problem." And then I tell Dr. Vogel, and Dr. Vogel was distraught.
Rightfully so.
Distraught. And then had a patient in 5 minutes. I like was scared for her. And then after that, we what did we do? We just started you started looking into it more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so describe your process of finding everything.
Okay, so maybe,
Do you want me to shift the camera?
no. I finally actually did get some sleep, but I need to go through and transcribe some. So I don't know how to make this like short. I feel like it could take hours. So I called the state and basically it was like, "This is the license number that he gave me." And I talked to them for quite some time and she's like, "I cannot," so I can't say his name, but in my research found out that he goes by different names. So, yeah, I mean, obviously he would have to go by different names. So I said he was going to be Todd Ripkin. So he also goes as Toddy Rip and Rippy Todd. So anyway, I gave her the license number and she was like, "No, he does not even own that company." And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "Yeah, he doesn't own that company. So if he's using that Virginia license number, he's just using someone else's license."
That's crazy.
And I was like, "Okay, thank you for your time." And so I'm not an idiot. Before I hired him and signed the contract, I asked him for a certificate of insurance. So my next thought was, well, it's not that it was a fake license, it's that it was a real license, but not his own. So I thought, well, I better call the insurance because maybe the insurance certificate isn't his either. The weird thing is that when I called, So when I first called, the guy I talked to from the insurance company was really nice to me. He was really concerned about everything that was going on. He was like, I'm sorry this is happening, but, you know, we give insurance to people that have licenses, so he must have a license. And I was like, well, I thought so too, but it seems the license that he has is real, but not his. And so the insurance agent was looking into it, and he was like, oh, yeah, I can't find any proof of him having a license. And I was like, oh, so, okay, what are we going to do about it? And he's like, I need to make some phone calls. And he was, the first time I talked to him, he was really nice to me and concerned. And he was basically like, this is a problem. I'll make some phone calls. And so the next time I talked to him, his demeanor had changed substantially. He was no longer nice to me.
Oh.
He was like, he has a license and you don't need to worry about it. I'm like, okay.
Weird.
And I was like, well, can you at least confirm that his insurance is real? And he's like, yeah, his insurance is real. But he said in the same sentence, basically, he has a license and his insurance is real. And I knew at least one of those was false.
Yeah.
So I can't really know that the second part is true either. So I said, well, how do you know he has a license? He's like, because I asked him. And I was like,
Crazy.
what? I mean, it's like, did you physically see it? He's like, no, but if he says he has a license, he has a license. And I said, well, you talked to him, like, can you tell me, like, did you tell him I called? Because I told you, like, I'm afraid and, like, to not talk about me. And
also, pause. Keep in mind, he has a, like, the mugshot was because
yeah, so I told the insurance agent, like, can you not tell him that I called? So I said, when you talked to him, did you tell him I called? He said, that's between me and him. And I was like, do I need to worry about my safety? And I don't know, he was so mean the second time I talked to him. It was weird.
maybe he got bought off or something.
I feel
You
like
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to speculate, but I'm wondering if, like, he's being blackmailed or, like, something. This is all speculation. I have no proof. The only thing that I know is for certain is the first time I talked to him, he was very concerned and very nice. He then talked to Todd Ripken, or Toddy Rip, or Rippy Todd, or whatever his real name is. And then he talked to me again and was very rude, said, don't worry about it, he has a license. And his demeanor just changed after that phone call. Mm-hmm. And so I will allow the audience members to speculate as to why that change in demeanor occurred. I have my own ideas, but this is not based in any sort of proof, so I won't say it, but you know, you can kind of think of what's going on yourself. So subsequently, the original individual that was referred to me to do the contracting work, who seemed like a nice, stand-up, normal guy. I know his real name, but I need 1 second to look at his fake name because we're gonna call him Gary Jan.
Yeah.
Gary.
So Gary Jan was the original guy I talked to, and
Wait, you skipped a part.
I did. Oh, okay. Wait. Okay.
That's the most important part.
No, that's the thing is that I can't summarize this because I could talk about it for hours. You're right. I did skip a part. So come back to Gary Jan later. I also called the permit department to see if anything had been done. And I'm like hesitant to say anything about what the permit department said because they're the government, and so I don't want the so maybe I'll think about what I want to say about that and come back to that later. Suffice it to say that it was confirmed that nothing had been done. Like, they asked for things on the 9th that were due on the 25th, and it was radio silence from the contractor. So they just confirmed that nothing is happening. While I was hanging up with the permit people,
The way you look at me,
I know,
something's really juicy is about to happen.
right?
You're checking for my reaction.
I get a call, and I never like answer calls that I don't know who they are, but I guess in this case it could be an anonymous informant, so now I'm answering the phone. I answered it, and it was Todd Rip himself, Dun, dun, dun. I know. And, okay, so I obviously have a little bit of experience in analyzing people's personalities and mental health. And I know I'm very hesitant. You shouldn't diagnose people that you haven't analyzed. And I also don't want to say things that I don't have proof of. But I will say that there is a certain type of individual, and you may use Google and come up with your own conclusions about this because I'm not going to say the word, that is a very charming type of person, but, very secretly malicious. So he's pulling out all the charm. And he's and I think he called because the insurance guy just called him and said, hey, by the way, do you really have a license? And then he's like, why are you asking me? And then he's probably like, some woman called. Dr. Vogel called. So now he's calling me. And he's basically like, oh, we're ordering your stuff. Like the same. Yeah. And I'm like, where are the receipts? You ordered the flooring, you ordered the lighting, give me the receipts. Oh yeah, I'll be happy to provide those. I mean, they haven't provided me with any information or confirmation that anything has occurred despite my asking for it. And so it was just a BS conversation, like, oh, I wanted to update you that we ordered your flooring. And I'm kind of following along. I'm like, oh yeah, well, can you send me the information about the lighting? Because I want to make sure that the temperature of this lighting is comparable to the temperature of other lighting, which is true because I want to match all my lighting, but it's also me trying to get him to provide me with some kind of proof without being like, I think that everything you're saying is a lie. So we had this conversation where he says, everything's great, everything's wonderful, I'm asking about lighting, and he's like, oh, we had some, I don't know, he said like employment structural changes or something. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? And then he basically just flat out said that he fired, hold on. Man, there's too many fake names. So basically fired the guy who was the anonymous caller, and the reason we found out his name is because we just Google searched the number. And so he's like, and he's not happy about it, so I'm just reaching out. We're so transparent, full transparency. And then, again, I don't want to analyze, but a lot of times when people aren't telling the truth, they overcompensate by volunteering way too much information and way too much justification in a defensive type of way. So he went on to opine about how his company is founded on integrity and honesty, and other contracting companies aren't as upstanding as his, and he's reaching out because he's basically so honest and wants to just
obviously
he wants to, and he went on like this for a while. Like, if you truly own an upstanding, honest company, do you need to opine for a long time about how honest and upstanding your company is?
And he also said he fired the guy who first called us for getting business from us.
That is Gary Jan.
Yeah, Gary
So
Jan.
we'll get to Gary Jan in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically I said to him, here are the items that I've requested that I still don't have. Back on September 20th, you sent me this Virginia license that was under the name and well, I'm gonna have to come up with it on the fly.
Ram construction.
No, Ram Construction. There, thank you. All right, Ram Construction. But your company is called Conscientious Contracting. And you told me that the reason that the names didn't match is that you had, unless it was photoshopped, and I will put it up there for the internet to decide if it's photoshopped or not, a certificate that he, as Conscientious Contracting, is operating under the name Ram Construction. And Ram Construction is the license that he gave. I suppose I'll get into the camera view now.
Yeah, get in here.
I look like I haven't slept in a long time. All right, so here I am. I'm finally. But it's Dr. Vogel. Here, I'll sit in the middle. All right. But I also needed my notes on my computer too. Okay. So I said to him, him on the phone on September 20th. He gave me the license for Ram Construction, but the company that I made, I didn't even go into like the dates that I paid him and stuff, but suffice it to say, I think it was like September 26th or something. I wrote a check to Conscientious Contracting, and I said, I asked for a certificate like from the state under the name of like where I gave the check. And you told me you would have it to me by the end of the week. And that was over a month ago. So I need that today. And he was like, yeah, I'll get it to you tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna like, the things I need are the receipts for the things that you supposedly ordered, which I didn't say supposedly because I'm not letting on my suspiciousness, although I'm sure he knows I'm suspicious since the insurance agent called him and was like, Dr. Vogel is investigating you. So I said, I need the receipts. I said, I need the license in the name of where I'm writing this check. You said you would give it to me a month ago. I still don't have it. And then there was one more thing. So I numbered them, like 4 things. And so I'm like, these are all like normal things that normal people ask for. And he, using his charm, is like, oh, that's not a problem. We have all that ready to go. And just to note, I still to this day have never seen it. He's like, oh no, we have all that. Everything is like all good. And I'm like, all right. And so there is an app that the construction company uses. And so whenever I do anything over the phone, over email, I also put it in the app. So I put it in the app, the 4 things that I requested. Okay, and then, I asked him what happened to, what was his name? Gary Jan or something. I know his real name, but I'm not going to use it. What happened to him, because he was the first guy I talked to. He was really nice. I liked his style. He's basically why I picked you guys. And I haven't heard from him in a month. It's kind of weird. He's like, yeah, I let him go. And I'm like, It's like he just wasn't performing. And I was like, well, I really liked him. I thought he was very personable and he was doing a lot of work. He's like, no, you wasn't. And I'm like, okay. And so my next thought, why don't I just call Gary Jan and ask him? And Gary Jan said, Todd Rip, whatever his fake name is, hasn't paid me. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I wouldn't be doing work for him either if he wasn't paying me. And he went on to say that he being Todd Rip or whatever, it's weird that his real name is fake. And so, the guy's real name is fake, so his fake name also has aliases. So basically Todd Rip whatever has owned over like 10, I guess, shell corporations in the past couple of years, and that he just transfers money from one to another, closes one, like just disappears, opens up a new one, gets clients, takes their money, doesn't do the work, hires people, doesn't pay them, takes that money, shuts that business down, moves somewhere else, opens up a new business. And I said, I'm like, well, holy cow, like, are you guys like doing anything? And I guess they're all just like scared. And he's like, well, we're like, we're all talking like together trying to figure it out. But like, my main concern is, and this isn't like exactly what he's saying, but I talked to a lot of the employees, so I'm just kind of blobbing. Most of them pretty much agree. They haven't been paid. They're stressed out. They don't know what to do. And I am at least in a position where like I could hire a lawyer and go to the police. But these are like normal, like blue collar, I don't know if that's an offensive term, but you know what I mean? Like, these are normal, like, hardworking manual labor people. They don't have the expendable income to just go to lawyers, and I don't blame a lot of them for not wanting to go to the police. And so they're not in a position to really do anything about it. They're just kind of stuck hoping that they get their money back and basically worrying about like how to make rent and like pay for food. And so I think that rather than go and record it and like tell everybody and call lawyers and go to the police, like they're basically just trying to find other jobs and like get their electric bills paid and stuff. And so they're struggling too. But he gave me the contact information to several other people that I subsequently called and heard the same stories over and over, that Todd Ripken or Rip, Todd Rip, that I heard from people that worked for him, and I heard of like clients for like contracting. And this is just conscientious contracting. There is a whole onslaught of other people from his other companies who were employees and didn't get paid, and clients that lost what they said millions. So for now, I'm just talking about the one company, but there are also employees and victims from his other companies too. So the current company, I called other clients, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like we gave him more than I like 50,000, 100,000. He never did anything." And it's just like, what? Like, why? How does he do this and then he doesn't? And he does like, how do you keep doing this? And I have not talked to a single employee of him that says I have gotten paid. Every employee I've talked to says that they haven't been paid for either 2 or 3 pay cycles. So yeah, I haven't had anybody confirm anything positive about him except for himself when he opined about how morally upstanding and respectable and professional his business is.
He's just really a model citizen.
Now, there's so many things. All right, so we talked about how he did give me a real license, but it was not a license.
Yeah, I think you're caught up now. It's just what happened yesterday.
I don't even know if I remember, because I haven't slept
So
in so
yesterday we were kind of doing, you were just like showcasing your research to me and like telling me what was going on and stuff. And so now we're more like, okay, we have to talk to the lawyer, and we have to make a police report, but we have to talk to the lawyer first to see what's going on, and then and we also have to see if we can get this money back. So we kind of had like 3 options of what to do, and then we decided that we would visit Todd Ripken's.
I like blocked because you know what, you're gonna say this stuff to my face, man. Like, you tell me all this BS over the phone, say it to my face. I feel like blocked it out. It's been a hard week for me.
Yeah.
I was ready. I don't care.
Yeah. Wait, before we get to visiting him at the warehouse, the fake name, blah, 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 which is another employee who sounds very distraught and upset, probably about not getting paid and not having a job, etc., etc.
Oh yeah, we skipped that part.
He was very he seemed to be like so concerned and so genuine.
And he was so excited about the project.
He would have actually done the project.
Yeah, he was so excited. Like when he was in our office, he was like, "We'll do this," and that. Like he was genuinely like so grateful to have like a project like this.
And so he wanted to do it, and he's just a victim like me. And he was like, "I will try to get you your money back." And I said, "That's fantastic." And so he talked to Todd Ripken or Toddy, and apparently Todd, to my surprise, said, "Yeah, I'll give her money back." Now, saying a thing and it actually happened, because when I did my interviews with all the employees, would say like, he'll give you a check, but it's gonna bounce. And so the other victim, the very sad employee who hasn't been paid, said that Todd would repay me, and he wanted like my bank account information, to which my accountant said, absolutely not. You will get a check and you will deposit it. You're not giving this man any information. And I'm like, yeah. So he was really pushy about like getting my bank information, which of course he is, because he's the Anna Delvey of like contract stuff. And so I said on the app and in writing, like, I'm gonna come pick up a check now. And all right, so what the anonymous guy whose fake name I can't think of, sad employee, said that Todd would pay me back. Todd was like, give me your bank account information. I was like, nah, I'm coming to pick up a check. And then, okay, now you can talk about
it sounds
what.
crazy.
Now we're going to this warehouse.
Right. And also, this wasn't even on the website. Like, it was on the original.
The address on their website,
Yeah.
I don't think is.
It was like in the
place.
Garrett. What is it? Garrett Roger.
It was in Reston somewhere.
Yeah,
But
But
that is
basically-
not where he is.
Yeah, we found it in an email, like whatever. So we go to the location. We really didn't think there was gonna be anything there.
Yeah, I figured it'd be like a dumpster.
Yeah. And we went all the way up on the stairs and we saw the sign for what is it,
Conscientious contracting.
And I was like, oh. So we went in, and it was
Abandoned.
It
was
not even furniture.
It was
but
like a ghost town.
there was Todd Rip, and then the other guy that we weren't sure whose side.
So we need to give him a name too, because I'm trying to figure out, because there's a lot of employees of this fake company, and so I'm trying to figure out, like, are some of them in on it with him?
Yeah.
Obviously the ones telling me he's not paying them are not
Right.
on his side. There is one person that people do suspect is in on it with him, and let's just call him Enrique Iglesias.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that is who people suspected is in on it. And lo and behold, the only people sitting in this office are Todd Rip and Enrique. now Enrique Iglesias is going to say that I defamed him. You have to make up a different fake name. So those are the only two guys sitting there. Continue.
And so Todd Rip is in shock, and he's like, "What?" So we went in the office
Because he didn't know you had the address.
I'm sure he didn't.
No,
First of all,
definitely was shocked.
I feel like I'm the first person who's actually like confronted him.
He turned so red. Like he looked like he was peeing his pants as we spoke.
Yeah.
So Dr. Wago goes in there and was like, "I'm just here to pick up my check." And he was like, "Check?" He was like, "I sent you a message that, you know, our girl Dawn, our accounting girl Dawn, is only in on Mondays, and so you have to come in on Monday to either give your bank information for a direct deposit that will hit 2 days later, or to get your check on Friday, because we need a couple of days for the other company to ship it over here." Like, basically, Paycheck and stuff does that, but you're not paying anyone. I don't think they count with Paycheck. Like, so
He said he doesn't have a checkbook.
yeah. Dr. was like, "Do you have a checkbook right now?" And he was like, "No."
Okay, I understand, like, normal people not having a checkbook at this day and age, but you own a business and you don't have a checkbook. Like, what if you actually have to pay somebody immediately?
Yeah.
None of it was true.
He's like, "I'm an outstanding, like, person."
Oh
Yeah,
my
it was
gosh,
like,
he
never
went
do
on
you
this
wrong.
rant about how morally, he said, I've never done anything, I've never
Wrong.
done anybody
And
wrong.
I was just like, I was about to start naming the list of
Yeah,
people.
I was thinking, I was like, we had recited the list.
We were
before
practicing in the
went.
car, too.
We practiced
We literally
people's
practiced
names.
in
We
the
had
car.
a list of names of people he's stolen from. But we didn't confront him when he said, I've never done anybody wrong.
Mm-mm.
Okay, if you are like a nice person that is actually, first of all, nobody's never done anybody wrong. But like say you're like a really good, wonderful person. Is that something you would say?
No.
No. I've never done anybody wrong.
Never in my life.
And keep in mind, he had video games up on his computer.
Yeah. So he wasn't working, he was playing video games on his computer. Like,
So, you know, and then you asked for like the verbal, like, can you verbally put it in writing that you'll give money back? He's like, yeah, I'll send it over. And I don't know.
I mean, we just left because
We
I
just left. I mean,
knew
there's
I
nothing
wasn't
to-
leaving
you
with
know.
any money.
Yeah. So then we come into, and then we come back and the lawyer finally calls back, and she was just pretty much like, you're going to have to, you know, go to the police and get a criminal lawyer. Like, I don't do criminal law, but, you know, your job is to uphold the contract. So what do you mean you have no, Dr. Bible was like, we'll reconvene. And she's like, there's nothing to reconvene about.
Yeah, she's basically just like, go to the police.
Yeah. She's like, I can't help you. And I was like, okay. So that's now, like, you know, when I left, we were kind of finishing up research and like looking into the police report, and then now we're here, present day.
Yeah, so where it stands is that he says that Dawn, and I said, what is Dawn's last name? He's like, Fitzgerald. I don't know. She's probably not wait, I'll have to edit that out, because if she does happen to be a real person, I don't want her to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But, he kept saying accounting, and I said, does accounting have a name? And then he said, whatever, fake name. Oh man, this is so hard with fake names.
No, and then when we were in the bottom of the stairs, I'm like, can you show me that email right now? And I looked at that email address, and I'm like, there's no.
She's not a real person,
not
so I guess
real.
we can say her name because there's no way she's.
Oh, there's
a real
no
person.
Dawn.
And I said, does she like that you refer to her as accounting? She must have a name.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this accounting on Monday is supposed to write me a check, which weirdly I can't get until Friday of next week. And so I messaged him on the app and on email. I said, per our conversation that we had, accounting will be writing me a check for $30,250.53, whatever. I think that's what it is. And she'll be doing that on Monday, and I will be picking it up from you 2 p.m. on Friday. And that's what I said. Now, I doubt that there will be a check. However, if there is, I anticipate it just getting bounced.
Yeah.
And that is where I stand. And so I will be compiling all the emails and the information that people sent me and the fake license and taking it to the police today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because, you know, like, I was thinking in the beginning, like, if he cuts the check or, you know, if he says he'll do it Monday or something, at least we'll get the money back. But there's no, like, he's just trying to get time. He's trying to get time.
He's trying to get
He
time.
might just leave town this weekend.
Yeah, that's
No,
what I'm saying.
absolutely just leave.
I was telling her,
Down.
I was like telling Dr. Vogel,
Vogel.
I was like,
Hello.
I was like, on Monday, like, he's probably not going to be in the office for the next 3 weeks after what we
No,
heard.
I'm
Like,
sure he's gonna move, move to Tijuana.
So there's, you
Yeah.
know, like, the more time we give it, like, the more time he's spending finessing right now, like, as we speak.